Hey there, I'm Eric Tennant, and I would like to share with you how I build my solar e-bike trailers. I previously built a 200 watt version of this solar trailer for my e-bike. I love this 200 watt unit, but it has one little tiny flaw. I can't fit it inside my car. So when AllPowers reached out to me and sent me the 100 watt AllPowers solar panel, I was like, okay, I gotta build a 100 watt version of this. So before I assembled it, that's where I decided, okay, this would be the perfect time to lay it all out and show everybody how this thing is put together. The framing, I use this stuff called 2020 extruded aluminum, and this stuff is very strong. And I did this to basically give the solar panel rigidity. As they cook in the sun, the plastic will warp a little bit and they'll flex out in all kinds of different directions. Plus, unfortunately, I do crash on the bike every once in a while. So I did need something that after I crashed, I'd just be able to pick up the unit and move along. And well, on my solar tour to Vegas, I did test this. I crashed the 200 watt at 20 miles per hour, and it pretty much scraped up the side rail a little bit where I had tape, fortunately, and no damage to the panel. The panel has been pushing off way over 100% at times. So I definitely recommend 2020 extruded aluminum. This stuff is very cool. For the trailer, I went ahead and went online and picked, well, it is one of the more expensive trailers online. I like to consider it almost like the Apple of the bike trailer world, but it's well worth it. Many things about this make it worth it. For one, it's a one wheel, and that is needed for the speeds I do. I come down off the Arizona mountains. I don't always like to do this, but at the 40 miles per hour using gravity. And having two wheels is not going to work at high speeds. As you go to tilt, it's going to come off onto one wheel and it's going to try to force your whole bike over. It really is a safety hazard at that point. So one wheel was a must on that. The trailer also has suspension, and a lot of things that I've bounced this trailer down. Yeah, suspension was a must. This thing I do not think would have survived it whatsoever. And then one of the last but not least things that make the trailer best for solar, or this type of solar lid, is that, for one, it's flat on top. That's very important. It's going to be very hard to mount anything if you don't have a flat top of it. And second, it has these ferrules all the way around it for being able to mount things. And as you can see, this one here, which I've got stuck previously on, I need to cut a notch into it with the Dremel and take it out and put a new bolt in it, but I'll just leave it in for now. It's nice and secure. And then on the other side, it also more ferrules there, so I ended up adding 3 hinges to it there. One of the really nice things about this trailer is how it hitches and unhitches from the bike. Pretty much you just hit this handle right here and it picks right off of it. Right now it's acting as a kickstand for my bike, so I'm gonna put it back on there, and that's it. It's connected. Now the part that a lot of people are interested in: how does a solar get from the solar panel to the battery and into the bike? For that, I have come up with a very unique system. It's not very complex, but it is unique. Of course, the first thing you got is the solar panel. From there, it runs from the MC4 connectors. I got it into this extension cord here that AllPowers provided me with. And that goes into the XT60. XT60 connects in there. To sum that all up, the solar panel connects into this MPPT charge controller. This is a Jenison. This is kind of the cream of the crop, and I'll have these all down in the description. There's also another one I call 1 pound silver. It is just as good. It just weighs more. That's the only downside to it. From there, then it connects into my junction. This I built myself. They're a little tricky to build. You can actually buy Y-splicers offline that'll make this where you don't have to do all the stuff DIY. Makes it a lot easier. It is really hard to solder on these XT60s like this. From there, you can go into the battery, and this is where energy basically goes to the lowest resistance, a lot like water. Where the lowest resistance is, it's going to flow into. So it's coming from here. Say if there's no demand from the bike and the battery needs charge, it's going to flow into the battery. Charge controller controls, make sure it's not overcharging, of course. But then if there's a load from it, instead of going through the battery, it then goes through the extension cord here to the e-bike. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If we go back to the battery, I do have other videos on how to do this. What you need is a common charge and discharge to be able to do it like this. Otherwise, you need 2 batteries. You need to run one on the back of your trailer, which you are charging, and then once they're dead, you'll swap them out. The reason for that is because you have a charge and discharge port, so you'll be charging into your charge port, which it's just a one direction type thing. Basically, all this battery really is a normal Unipack battery, which I took and replaced the BMS to have a common charge and discharge wire on it. So that's the whole electrical side to be able to run the bike off solar. Now everything else over here is for lighting. So you have like the back tail lights. These are 12 volt tail lights. They are powered by this converter here, which this converter converts from 48 volts down to the 12 volts that is needed. And then of course this will all be controlled, which I got, these are the new upgraded switches I got. These are waterproof motorcycle switches, which are gonna work awesome for this. It's like they were made for it. And then there'll also be another switch for what we got over here is the LED lights. And these are multicolored LED lights that I control with an application. They also can be controlled by its controller, and this is what it all hooks into. And you got all the little connectors and everything that make everything hook in together. And that's why I cut those notches into the trailer there, is so I'd be able to tuck that in. I'll end up putting the Gorilla Tape over it, and then the LED strips fit perfectly into these rails, which works as the other thing. They also help cool the LED strips to extend their lifetime. I'm hoping these work a lot better. My last version, I soldered onto these LED strips, and that is a very hard thing to do. It ends up melting the LED strip, so. Nice, the LED system works out great. Just to give you guys a basic rundown of how this works. You got the LED strips. They connect into the LED controller. Goes from there, that connects into the 48 volt to 12 volt buck, and there it's pretty much just connected in the battery. I just got it kind of stuck in the end of the power supply. Of course, for the system, I'll put a connector on the end, but for testing purposes, this worked out great. So, nice. Everything works out good. What you do is you have these pieces, and you can put them together anyway. It's totally reconfigurable. Very easy to cut. I used a hacksaw to basically cut each of the lengths that I needed to make for the frame. And then I also used the hacksaw. This one isn't so pretty. This I wish I had a higher end saw, but hey, what do you do? This is for electrical connections for the lights to be able to tuck in there and for everything to be real seamless. I'll show that later once I get to the lighting end of it. So you can put the elbow there, put that there, put it over here. Totally reconfigurable. They have these type of nuts that would hook into it, and that's how you would latch that on, but I actually don't recommend these type. They're so thin on the 2020, a lot of them. Well, this one's fine, but a lot of them end up cracking when you try to put any torque down on them. Much better style is these type of T-nuts here, and with these ones you do have to pre-plan what you're doing, because you basically take them in on the end of the rail and you slide them into where you want, and then at that point you screw down your elbow into any place you want. There's also many other things that connect into the 2020, which definitely, yeah, like I said, these are what I like to call adult Legos, or it's fun stuff. It also comes in a variety of different sizes, but there's a 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter one. I looked into it. It's very hard to find is one of the problems with it. And the other problem with it is it's very easy to bend. It has no strength to it. I would like to try the 15 by 15, but it has a lot of that availability problems. There's a few vendors, but they're way overcharging for it right now, and it's hard to find. So that is the basic frame setup here. The trailer is a little bit more narrow than the actual solar panel, so it needed internal railing on it. And this overall is still lighter than a glass panel, which I'm pretty sure would not survive a crash. Its durability was a big issue for me. But this rail here, this is where these will latch onto from the trailer, and then on the back side is where you have the hinges. That's where both the hinges from the trailer. And the AllPowers solar panel, it is a flexible panel, very durable. It has a 2-year warranty on it. All right, so now I pretty much just need to put everything together. Start build montage. All right, nice. Just go ahead and add thread locker to all the bolts. Okay, I got the whole frame together. Roughly, these two I got loosely in there. I need to get them 43 millimeters apart from each other, and that'll be the spacing for it to match up onto the trailer. The 43 is the outer edge on it. And it just dawned on me, I built the lid backwards. I mean, I could mount it to the trailer the other way, but unfortunately the other lid, yeah, because this whole thing gets flipped. Ah, crap. You know, it's bound to happen. So I need to, yeah, I need to change this rail over to here. The reason it matters is because all the mount points for the hinges. Right, should be about 7 millimeters of a gap there. So I don't have to work on the floor anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and, got it upside down, hook it onto the trailer, and then at least then I can be a little bit more up off the ground. So of course, to do this, I got 3 of the 2020 hinges, and these fit perfectly between the Burley trailer and the 2020 railing. It's got a slight little lift here, but that'll correct out once I latch it down. Now, how these latches match up on this side, you can adjust these, of course, to how far you want them, but they won't go that small. So I got to do a slight modification to these. And well, pound the crap out of it. Nice now. So it's fully mounted to it. It's got a hinge on it. And it's 2 latches. And now this one can have a lock put through it right there. Very secure. Now I just got to do all the wiring for the lighting. I've got the 2 switches, one for the undercarriage lighting and another one for the rear lights. The reason I didn't run those all the way up to my handlebars is I wanted to be able to quick disconnect from my trailer when I need to. When I ride by camp, basically I pull up on the handle and pull right from it. Right now I got the XT60 and it makes the perfect connection for that. If I was adding those switches to it, I would have to add, well, 4 more wires going through a connector like this, which I don't have. So this works perfectly. If anything, I could get off at a light if I needed to turn the rears on or the underlighting. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Now, as far as keeping the wiring cleaner on this model, what I'm gonna do is follow the rule of try to always put the wires up in this upper canal here. And then the solar panel will be on top of that. That way they're not visible from underneath even when it's opened up. Should make it look real nice. But a lot of times to get to that, I don't wanna wrap around the side like that. That wouldn't look so good. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap through the middle channel and make a wire path for them to basically get up into that top. And it makes it a little bit lighter because it's like Swiss cheese. And just like so, now I have the wiring on the top of the channel. Should have ordered more heat shrink tubing. I actually have to use solder and heat shrinks. Really love these things. Very good product. Find these down in the description below. Okay, I got all the wires ran back and out through here. So I got the tail lights. To keep in theme, pretty much gonna drill a hole back here, put the wires up to the top. Okay, the last part I need to do for the electrical system is I need to put on some of this. It's called Alex Tex type stuff. This is real cool. I like to cover all the wiring in them just to keep them nice and safe. Give them an extra layer of protection. Now both of these new ends will need burnt to keep them from fraying out as much. And then you just pretty much slip it on over the wires. Then I'd like to slide a heat shrink over that, just to kind of protect the ends a bit. Holds it on there a little bit better too. So now I got to put the solar panel on. All right, one of the first things I have to do is I'm going to take a pair of pliers, and these eyelets that they have a little bit of a bump on them. Basically, I need to smash them flat. Luckily, right here, there is no actual solar panel cells, so I'm not in danger of crushing anything. I'm just going to basically just smash those down and make them flat. All right, so I'm going to be using one of the ones I can just slip right in. It's not holding the frame together, so it's not quite as necessary to have the other ones. I would have used them if I had more, but that's all I have left now. Should have ordered more. Right after smashing those down, I'm going to go ahead and you're going to need to get a thing of washers. This is just so it doesn't end up pulling through the panel at some point. And the reason I taped down it is, well, to make it extra secure. And I found in my earlier test, even with all the bolts on, that the panel was sitting there making this noise. It was just driving me nuts behind me. So I had them tape all the way around the edge, clean that up. So we're going to do the same on this version too. I did consider, instead of using Gorilla Tape, buying reflective tape, and it would increase the visibility of this thing extremely, which isn't a bad thing when you're on the road. However, every once in a while, I camp somewhere I'm not supposed to be, so I wanted to keep it stealth, pretty much be able to cover up these back lights and nobody be able to see me. If I had a reflective tape all around it, well, the thing would constantly glow and it'd be very hard to cover up. Now I got these end caps. I was considering switching these to metal, but they do come off when they get hit, but they also take all the impact and damage from it. And I can get 100 of them just for a couple bucks. So I'm going to keep with the plastic ones just because they keep the unit safe, and the corners are the most likely areas to hit something. And they just pretty much just pop right in. Just like so. Kind of finishes it to look off a little bit so the ends aren't all raw there too. So that's it except for the battery system, which I'll show here in a second. But look at her. So here is the new switching system, which I think looks much better than the old model, which I'll end up upgrading the 200 watt panel to have this same design, which I guess will have to be a later video in itself. But we got two light switches here. We got this one, which that one turns on the back lights. And then we have this one here, which that turns on the undercarriage lights. That can also be controlled with the controller or the phone, which you can be switched to white for a more practical light for when you're at camp, or some kind of orange or red for when you're going down the road, just so you're more visible. Or you could leave it in the party mode. Doesn't matter, I guess. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention it does come with this little tiny remote. I guess I'll give it a test. Pull out the little battery thing there. And let's see if we can turn it off. Oh, I see. It's got to actually see the sensor, so the remote does work, so you got to stick it under there. Light should come with a QR code, and you'll be able to download the app. From here, you can change the color of the lights to anything you want, even, very useful, the white color. Of course, it's during the daytime now, so it's not showing up all that much. And of course, it has all the weird strobing modes and everything like that. Hundreds of these. So yeah, the app has tons and tons of settings. You can get this thing to strobe all kinds of different ways. Get somewhere cooler to test it out. Teleportation. Okay, this works for a better place to test the trailer. Onward and forth. It's funny, you can hear the pot in the back of my trailer bouncing around. Gives it a real authentic, like, bike tour sound, I think. Nice, I like it. Good day. Nice. Trailers hold up, no problem. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the rear lights since I'm gonna be on the road. So yeah, she's holding up great, even on a dirt road. Thanks for watching the video. You can find all these parts down in the description below. I think there's maybe like 38 parts that make it up. So I'm off to take this thing onto some single track to see how it holds up. For that, you guys will have to watch one of my upcoming videos. Until next time, have a great day.
I'm gonna break all the rules. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna break all the rules. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna break all the rules. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna break all the rules. I'm gonna do what I want. They say you got to walk this, talk this, dress this way. You gotta